Okay, next up, let's look at some logical expressions and relational expressions, relational operators, and then the string operations. A simple one to look at, start out, would be the equality operator. So this is checking if expr $x space equals space $y is checking if these two are equal, and this thing will return 0 if they're not equal, and 1 if it is equal. So that is 1 means true, 0 false. This is sort of the opposite of normal bash convention, so that remember that exit returns 0, and exit returns 0, that means everything worked. So this is in some ways the opposite of that. Unfortunately, that's how bash works. So let's try this out. Let's set x is equal to 2048, y is equal to 2049. Just pick these numbers arbitrarily, no reason. We can print them out. Echo x is $x and y is $y. Okay, so it looks good. Now we say boolean, or sorry, b equals, and we can use the backtick operator. I'm not a big fan of that. In this case, it doesn't really matter so much. Y backtick. So this is checking if x equals y. If they are equal, b should be equal to 1. So nothing gets printed out. You have to do an echo $b, and it says 0. So this is basically saying x is not equal to y. Okay, so let's test this. Let's by setting y is equal to 2048. So if you do this, you can echo y, and y will have changed. But of course, if you know programming languages, you know that you have to execute this again to change b. If you echo b right now, it'll still be the same value it was before. So if you are familiar with programming languages, you know to expect this, right? This is 0 right now. You have to actually change the value using the same expression as before. Now it will have changed, because now x and y are the same, and so b is 1. So take a look at that, make sure it makes sense to you. Just as a note, you can use equal to or not equal to. So for example, you can do backtick expr $x equal y. Now the problem with, although this is better, unfortunately I believe, and I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but I believe this is the standard, even though this is better. I think this was how people started out in the beginning, and they kept this the standard, and so a lot of scripts will still have this, even though this makes more sense if you're used to Java. So unfortunately, Java is a lot better. I mean, this is not as good as Java in some ways. On the other hand, you get to execute parts of scripts right at the command line, which is nice. It'd be nice if Java had something like that. Okay. So this worked. Now what you can also do, and this is better, that is, in general, I would say use the $open left paren. Right, and you can use not equal to. Okay, so right now x and y are the same. Let's double check that. Echo x, y. They are both the same. So the checking, if they're not equal, will return false, which is 0. So b should be 0, right? I'm getting confused now, but yeah. B should be 0. You're checking if they are equal, and you're checking if they're not equal. So therefore, yeah, B is 0. false. Okay, so those are some of the things you can try now. You can also use relational operators like greater, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So let's try that out. Oops, there. Okay, so let x equals 63, boolean 1 is expr, compare x, and we cannot just say greater than, because remember greater than is shell input output redirection, so you have to use protection. You have to protect the greater than symbol using the slash, the backslash, that is. Okay, and let's print out B1. So this is saying that 63 greater than 100 is false. It is 0. Let's try B2 is 63 less than 100. Echo B2. And it's true. So 63, yes, is less than 100. And let's do B3 is equal to expr less than or equal to 63. This should be true. 63 less than or equal to 63 is true. So B3 should be 1. Good. And then finally, just try B4, which would be checking if 63 is greater than or equal to 63. This should also be 1 or true. There you go. So try some of these. Make sure you know how to use logical expressions. Once again, this, I believe, is not needed if you are writing a shell script. If you're inside a script and entering these things, you don't need it. I just need to use them because I'm executing this right at the command prompt. Okay, so now there's a bunch of things that have to do with extracting substrings and pattern matching and things like that. Okay, let's take a look at some of them. So let's set up a string to be 4 score. Here's go. That's good. We can check it. There it is. And so now let's extract some substrings. Let's say x sub is equal to, and let's use the $paren. expr let me see. Oh yeah. So you want to say, let's just do something simple just to check. I believe if you say length here, that's the operation. Ooh. Let me try that again and protect this. Okay. So now if I echo x sub, I should get something like the length of the string, which should be 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. It should be about 30. Right. Worked. Okay. Now let's try substring. I just needed to check that. we do need to protect those strings. Ooh, let's try position 7 and 10 for length. I hope that works. So it should give us 4, 5, 6, 7, should say CORE space and space, and then a few more, I think. Okay, CORE, that's about 10 characters, I think. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, worked. Okay, so that's a simple, that's a couple of operations on strings using expr. There's a whole lot more. The big thing about expr is that it's able to do pattern matching, which is something that's very useful when you're searching for files, things like that. It's very handy to search files by name, by number, and by other characteristics of files. Okay, so, oh yeah, let me go back to the notes. And so the general format for a string matching is this. You say expr space, and then whatever string you want to do, and here is the operator. This is one way to do it. Another way is to specify the operation, say expr match, and then the space, and then the string. But let's take a look at this way of doing string matching. So I have a couple of scripts set up. And let me cat this. Each. Okay, so I have, here is one example. So this line over here is searching for a word starting with, from the beginning of the string, you're looking for a word that starts with one uppercase letter, that's between A and Z, followed by a lowercase letter and any number of other characters. Okay, so if you do it, if you use, and this is the syntax you have to use to find a pattern match. If you, and a lot of people do this, they omit the /paren notation. What this actually does is it finds the length of the word that matches this regular expression. So once again, this is just another way of specifying. This is just a way of specifying regular expressions, and there's a whole bunch of these things that I think we're just covering the very tip of the iceberg in these situations. So this is the match operator, but depending on what you do over here, if you omit the slash open paren, you get a completely different result than if you include it. So here's a simple example, searching for a word that starts with an uppercase letter followed by a lowercase letter followed by any number of other characters. Okay, so let's stop there.